Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be doing week 2 of our most important games. We'll start right off. No need to dilly-dally or anything here. First one's gonna be an interesting one. It is a Friday night special, Fox Sports 1 at 8 o'clock local for this team, 9 o'clock overall. We're going over to Chicago, I guess technically Evanston, Illinois. They are going to be the Northwestern Wildcats hosting the Duke Blue Devils. Now, I know there's no lineup for this game right now, I don't think. Can't really find one. But this will be the first game that Northwestern has that really cool stadium. And by stadium, I mean practice facility on the water, because they're obviously doing their stadium upgrades right now. So they're going to be for this year and next year, they'll be on the shores of Lake Michigan, just north of Chicago, in obviously, as I said earlier, Evanston. And they'll be hosting most games there. I think they have a few at Wrigley, depending on the game, special teams, special opponents, things like that. I think they play Ohio State at Wrigley, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, bigger opponents, bigger spotlight there. But they bring in an ACC opponent in Duke. I know they played, I believe, there last year. And by there, I mean, Durham, right? Is it Durham? I think so, where Duke's at. So Duke had a big offseason. They obviously lost Mike Elko and Riley Leonard. And just, to boil it down quickly, obviously to A&M and Notre Dame respectfully. And they bring in from Texas, Malik Murphy to be the quarterback. Obviously one of the hyped up backups. He and Arch Manning were, battling it out for the future of Texas. Obviously, he was probably going to be Arch. We kind of knew that the whole time. But Malik Murphy comes in with a lot of experience. Not experience, a lot of hype and some limited experience in the Big 12. And he will be coached by Manny Diaz, obviously once of the U, Miami, and then went up to Happy Valley and was a very effective defensive coordinator for them. And he's now taken the job in for Duke. And this is a big game for Duke. Obviously, Northwestern, very tough and physical team. Their play style travels, even though they're not traveling. So Malik Murphy is going to have a pretty good defense to go up against. Week 1, I'm not positive who their opponent is, but I will tell you it's not going to be as good as Duke as Northwestern, but at least have a week under his belt. A first true road game start, I'd assume, for him. I don't know if he got the start or not. Yeah, they have Elon at home, so no disrespect to Elon, but come on. And same thing with Northwestern. They are having their first real home game. Not real home game, first big game at home. Clearly, they're hosting Miami of Ohio week 1, which is sneaky a good game, almost on my list, because they're going to be one of the best teams in the MAC. But you would like to think that the Big Ten should be able to defeat a MAC school. No disrespect to my MAC. Shout out to MACtion. But they obviously have a little bit of change as well. But last year they had probably the coach of the year. I think what Deion got or Mike Norvell, one of the two, but a lot of change for Duke. Northwestern, looking to bounce back after an incredible 6-6 season. Obviously, this time last year it was total mayhem with Fitzgerald getting in trouble, getting fired, all that stuff, and they were potentially have to buy him out. He was in court. When you thought of Northwestern, you thought of Fitzgerald. They have a really nice practice facility, spending a ton of money, and now they have to buy out their coach. It was a whole debacle, went to court and stuff. I think it's still in court, but everyone thought they were going to be good. People were saying they might go 0-12. They ended up going 6-6, making a bowl game. I know they ended up losing, I assume. I think I don't remember them winning it. So that's what we have for them there. And yeah, good for Northwestern. And if they beat Duke, it's a big game. And if Duke wins, it's a good little statement victory. Obviously, it is Northwestern, but those looking into it more, it's like a road Big Ten team, as they could phrase it. Yeah, good first start from Malik Murphy, and we'll get him fired up for ACC play, where I assume they're probably pretty big long shots. So a fun game on a Friday night. Standalone helps me pick it for this week. Then we get into the big one, Texas, Michigan. I know we've talked about it a ton. I'll go quickly, but yeah, pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about it a bunch. I'll talk about it a lot more going forward, but just quickly, obviously, 2 national championship contenders. Obviously, both of them in the playoff last year. Texas retained a significantly more talent than Michigan did, but they still have some questions. And, who's going to be under center? Is it going to be Orji? Is it going to be Tuttle? Is it going to be Davis Warren? Michigan doesn't even know at this point. Apparently, Orji's the leader in the clubhouse as of the first week of August. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out, and we'll know a lot of things after this game. Michigan does have themselves as a 3.5-point underdog. And just at the time of recording, the CJ Baxter had an injury in practice today. So prayers up to him. But that could, obviously have a big impact on the game if he's out for the season or something, God forbid. But tweaking a knee, needing an MRI, I believe it is. I think they said he was walking off with crutches. So again, prayers up to him and his family, and Texas, of course. But with or without him, I'd imagine it still could be a very significant threat out of Texas. So Michigan, I'm trying to think the last time I've been an underdog at home, probably has to be Ohio State in 2021. But yeah, Michigan hasn't lost a game at home in a long time, especially at a conference. So it'll be a big game. Everyone will be fired up for it. I'm assuming Texas is going to travel well. Tickets are unbelievably expensive, touching $500 of fees. So yeah, we'll see how it all turns out. Up next is Iowa State at Iowa, the Cyhawk Trophy, I think it is, right? Something like that. It is going to be in Iowa this year, Iowa City at Kinnick. Iowa is a 2.5-point favorite. Total is 37.5. You got to have it on here, obviously, with it being a big rivalry game. I know Trump made an experience last year, and everyone thought it was crazy. I was like, hey, it's very funny. But yeah, they're hosting Iowa State. I like that it's a good rivalry game early in the season. Always gets the boys fired up. Iowa State has some returning production with, I think it's Rocco Brecht at quarterback. I think it's the guy's name. It'll be on CBS, one of the first Big Ten CBS games, I believe. And that would be glorious for a Big Ten CBS game, Iowa State. It's a big punt fest under. It's going to make a lot of people very angry. But if you want some Big Ten football, it's a pretty good introduction. Obviously, it not even being a conference game, but it might as well be for all intents and purposes. But Iowa's gotten a lot of momentum. They've gone from 14-1 down to 10-1 to make the title game, which is crazy. Cade McNamara, I think he's healthy now. Going to hopefully have a full season under his belt at Iowa. Obviously, they have a great defense in and out, year in and year out, but it's that offense you got to worry about. So I know they moved on from France, I believe, right? The offensive coordinator. I'm not sure 100%, but I'd assume so. You like to think, right? But yeah, big time on that stuff. We'll see how they turn out here, and it's a good test for them. I know they beat them usually in and out, but if you put some points on the board, you could probably raise some eyebrows in a good way and have some eyes on their program, and maybe they can get the ball rolling. Up next, we have our first repeat. It is Colorado traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska. This is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. Nebraska is a 6.5-point favorite. I know last year they were a huge favorite as well, and then Colorado came in, and the way that both of them started the season, the odds flipped, and we saw Colorado go in there and kind of blow them out. But Nebraska, will it be I think it's like Heckenberger or something, Heinbergen something, or is it going to be Riola? We'll see. By now, I'm sure we'll know. But tickets are touching $200, especially with fees, probably about $250. Big game in Lincoln Memorial Stadium. They got a lot going on. It's probably their Super Bowl until later in the season when they have some rivalry games. But you beat Colorado in an old-fashioned rivalry game with Deion coming into town. Assuming he wins Week 1 against North Dakota State, which we talked about last time. This would be a big one. Again, it's like hey, we were in a game on the road against a Big Ten team. We're kind of killing the hopes and dreams of Nebraska and always hopeful fan base. And we're making a statement. We're for real. That'd be a big game for Deion and Shador. The exact same for Nebraska. The sky's the limit for these guys this year. They have a lot of hype, a lot of potential going forward. A lot of people said that they could potentially be 6-0 going into the Ohio State game at Ohio State. So this is obviously you have to win this game to make that happen. So if they do, it's to look out, watch out. Are they for real? It'll be an interesting one to be seen. 7:30 NBC game for this one. So Mike Treat will be on the call with maybe Collinsworth, one of the other guys, maybe Ian Eagle or the other Eagle that's in the Olympics. But again, huge game for both teams. And it's almost a loser leaves town type game. I know I said that last week with Miami and Florida, and even Notre Dame and A&M. It's more contender, but this is a huge shot in the arm early for both of these teams that need kind of big seasons, a lot of media hype and huge fan bases behind them. So big one to look out for. And finally, we have a game. I have actually it's 7:30 as well on ABC. The Dukes Mayo Classic, Tennessee at North Carolina State. I know I kind of mentioned this in the NC State preview video, but it's two teams that are dark horses in their conference. Tennessee is a 5-point favorite, technically on the road in Charlotte, North Carolina. Obviously, NC State is obviously in the state, so it's kind of a home game for them, kind of like it was last year with Tennessee when they played Virginia in Nashville. Clearly a home game for Tennessee. I think they're technically even the away team, which is crazy, but they kind of like these neutral site games pretty much close to home. I prefer them on campus, but that's just me as a college football purist. But yeah, we're going to see who's for real. If you're looking at the quarterback battle, obviously Nico versus very experienced Grayson McCall. I'd probably give the edge to Grayson as of now, but the talent clearly is with Nico. And this is a big statement win for Tennessee on the road against NC State. Again, this is almost a pretender contender game as well. Both teams are probably looking to get a 9-win season, could sneak into the championship games of their conferences with a really good season. I have NC State dark horse for a reason. Probably easier for them to make the ACC than it is for Tennessee to make the SEC. But Tennessee's probably got a better chance to make the playoff than NC State does, right? And this is a game you have to have if you're Tennessee to make the playoff, right? You're going to have a juggernaut of an SEC schedule. It just is what it is, year in and year out. Obviously, a little down with potentially Alabama and Florida this year, but you can't count anybody out, especially in rivalry games and especially in the SEC, right? Every game's tough in that conference, some exceptions, but you really got to get ahead of it. You don't want to think about those games. You want to make sure you get your wins when you can. And NC State's one of those teams you got to win. You got to win. The Vol Nation travels well, over under 56.5. And this is a good time for Nico to come out there and make his thing happen. Obviously, you're playing Chattanooga week 1 if you're Tennessee. So get some momentum going with that game and really show the nation what you got going on at 7:30 ABC primetime, big time Tennessee game. So big for them. And then again, NC State, this is a game you're supposed to lose. You're a 5-point dog at home in theory. So can you make a statement win? Can you show that you're back and you're going to act on? A lot of people have you as a big time favorite. I know you with the sports books being, or big time dark horse in the conference with the sports books being legalized in that state. A lot of people bet them to make some noise. And can they go on a magical run like their basketball team did with Burns and company? So we'll see. But yeah, that's what I got for this week. Let me know down below if I missed any videos, missed any big games you think. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.